Where the fuck am I
Oh, it's
recording to?
is it grabación? Is that how you say recording? Spanish?
Why are you asking me? I have no clue. Oh, it's in videos, not in recordings.
Shit,
Video.
Patrick, how did I know that? That
Grabación.
wasn't like that was in some like tiny corner of my brain, and it was like it was just revealed to me.
No, I'm just saying if you're like English and you're trying to phonetically understand
Uh,
or guess the meaning of something, like that's something that you do when you aren't familiar with a language, right? You especially with like Spanish or French, you look for words that look similar, and then you
hmm
associate probably they have a similar meaning.
I think they call them cognates.
Yeah, and that's how
Uh,
you get the embarazado, right? That
yeah,
means
yeah, that's called
pregnant.
a false cognate.
Yes.
Embarazada is actually a feminine word because
Male
last I
can get
checked.
pregnant. Okay. With the countdown, we'll just go with the three, two, one.
Hello,
Hi, everybody. Welcome
how's it
back
going?
to 3B episode 4. We had a 1 week break in between. Life gets in the way. Life almost got in the way here. But we're gonna power through and get
But
through this
Patrick
one.
pulled through, and he said he decided that this podcast was more important, and I
Mm,
agree.
yes. Yes. So one of the reasons why this podcast was almost not gonna happen was you were stressing about your sodium intake. What is that all
Yeah,
about?
dude.
Like, how did that even start? Why are you stressing about that now?
So I have this friend who will remain unnamed that was telling me about his he has like high blood pressure now because of his sodium intake. I didn't even know that sodium like caused high blood pressure. I didn't even know what it
Wait,
does.
you didn't
Actually,
know
I'm gonna
that?
be honest. No, I didn't know anything about
So,
health things.
okay, wait. Before we go on, then what did you think salt was unhealthy for?
I didn't know. I just knew you weren't supposed to have too much of it, and it's like you needed a little bit of it to like do the synapses in your brain and stuff.
Okay.
And so I knew
I
about sodium.
assumed that was like you knew that because that's like the main association of salt causes like sodium causes high blood pressure.
Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, that's why I all of a sudden have this renewed interest in sodium intake because and apparently you're only supposed to have 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day.
That's
Any more
really
than that,
low.
and yeah, it's almost nothing. I get more than that like for lunch every day sometimes.
Yeah, but I don't
um,
think it's necessarily unhealthy. I think one of the things you were researching, right, was that people who actually have way too much sodium can sometimes actually be better than the sodium deficient people, like
yeah,
in
I'm not
general.
entirely sure how true that is. That was just like one little bullet point on a health-ish website. I'm not entirely sure how much we should trust that.
Hmm. Well,
It's
the reason I brought that up is because I actually watched a YouTube video before, and it was I forgot which channel made it, but it was about the sodium intake or how much salt we consume on a daily basis. And it's
hmm
actually arguing that we don't consume enough salt, which
really
is
maybe that's propaganda from Big Salt.
I what even is big salt? Like Morton? Is that
Yeah,
a salt company?
yeah, pretty
Morton
sure that's the
salt.
one with the girl with the
Yeah,
big
with
the
the
umbrella.
umbrella, right?
Yeah,
Um, we don't
we just gave them
consume.
free advertising. This is not a sponsored video.
This is not a
That's just
sponsored video. Trying to find. Oh, okay. So I think it was by the channel called What I've Learned, and it might be the video called Why Low Salt Stresses the Body, though there might have been a different one. But I remember from that video, whenever I watched it, which was a while ago, and it was actually, it mentioned that point that I just brought up, which being sodium deficient is like worse than actually having too much sodium. And it also was comparing the nutritional standards. So what we were talking about, your what was it, 2,300 milligrams of salt each day?
2,300. Yeah.
Yeah, that is like set by some agency or something, right?
The FDA. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And I think in the video he mentioned that that is what you said, peanuts. It's like you consume more in meals than that on a daily basis, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, which I think he was what he learned, as his channel is called, what I've learned. What he learned
Uh-huh.
through his own research was that I think having that salt is actually maybe not necessary, but it's not unhealthy. It's like
It is
okay.
necessary to have a little bit of salt, but it's actually like very little salt that you need. In order to become salt deficient, like you're gonna die of starvation before that happens. Like you just need like a couple hundred milligrams a day of salt in order to like work as a human.
Yeah.
So I don't know how
Well,
true that is. I mean, I guess I'll watch the video. I haven't watched the video.
I think the main point I'm trying to say is worrying about your salt intake, as long as you're not eating, was it instant ramen, the like super processed and preserved
Hmm.
foods every
Pizza is also
meal.
pretty bad.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are pretty bad. Um, though I have to think those things are really bad if you like eat and drink the whole thing because those preservatives in like soup powder or base, right, that comes with those like instant ramen, instant
Hmm.
noodle things, you're supposed to like dump that into the hot water, right? So if you actually drink all that soup, which I don't know if you do, but
I
whenever
don't.
like
I don't usually have
okay,
instant ramen.
yeah, but I'm speaking from experience. Whenever my mom cooks, our particular brand is called Shin Ramen. It's like a some Korean one, I think. Shin Ramen.
Uh-huh.
Um, that one, whenever she cooks it and she has like the soup and stuff, and we all eat it, she always makes sure to like remind me and my dad to just never drink all the soup, because I think that's where most of the sodium is. It's like,
Yeah. Also MSG. I think that's a very
yes,
common
also.
flavor. Has a lot of sodium.
Yeah.
You
So
gotta watch out for that.
MSG, I just thought of MSG. Um, tangent. I guess this episode is just gonna be a bunch of tangents.
Uh-huh. That's what they usually are anyway.
What I just thought was, MSG is the stuff that makes your, I mean, it like really dries your mouth, right? Makes it
Doesn't.
you feel really salty, really thirsty, I think.
Could
And
be.
I'm pretty sure that's what, because I'm making this association because I remember every time I my family went to this particular pho restaurant. You know what pho is?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like Vietnamese noodles
I
thing.
had pho actually last weekend.
Yeah,
Fun fact. Mm-hmm.
good, bad.
Pretty good. I like pho.
Yeah, I like it too. And we went to this particular restaurant. I think it was a new one that we went to. It wasn't like the usual restaurant we went to. And their soup was like super salty or MSG'd. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
afterwards, like on the car ride back, my mouth was just dying, requiring
Yeah, I think
water.
it's just the sodium.
Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe.
salt makes you thirsty because you gotta counteract the salt with the water. That's it. You have to like have a certain concentration of salt in your body.
That makes
Something
sense.
about diffusion.
That's getting too technical for our audience. I don't. We're gonna
I
dumb it
don't know,
down.
bro. That's some ninth grade biology right there.
Yeah. What
So,
if eighth graders are listening to this?
ooh, you're right. We got to be inclusive. Well,
Mm,
I mean, we're also speaking English, and like, what about our Italian viewers?
right.
They don't speak any English.
Well, we could switch to Spanish.
Uh-huh. No, I don't think so.
Probably
We're
not
also
that.
using words. What about all the babies out there that don't even know how to talk yet?
Well, we're being good role models, and we're being good role models in the sense that we're not going to broadcast and share this podcast and content with babies because babies shouldn't be connected to the internet straight away. And that
You don't think so?
is a complete tangent, but I think so.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
a hot take. I think we should delve further into that.
Wait. Do you not
Section two.
do you disagree that they shouldn't be like I feel like they
No,
shouldn't
no,
be
no.
using phones, tablets, because that's something I notice all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very prevalent now. Like young kids are just on tablets and I'm getting
You sound like an
surprised.
old man.
I
You
know
sound
I'm
like
sounding like a boomer.
yeah.
Uh but I'm
Kids
just
these days and
surprised.
their
I'm surprised
TVs.
at how young kids have like their own cell phones now. And this trend was
That's
already
true.
starting back in high school.
I
I
remember like I was in third grade and there were some kids with iPhones. I was like, wow.
what? Wait, when
Yeah.
you were in third grade,
When I was in third grade, the iPhone had come out like a couple years ago.
they must have been the
When
minority though.
oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But I thought that was pretty crazy that there were people. There was one girl that got held back a year. I remember because she cheated on her. We have this thing called the STAR test in Texas. Actually, back in those days, it was called the tax test.
The tax?
Anyway, it
TAX?
was like, huh?
The tax
Yeah, it's
test?
no, TAKS. That was the
Oh,
Texas
okay.
Assessment of Knowledge and Skills. I remember
Mm.
it. Um, and so she cheated on it by texting. I think it was her mom or somebody the answers, and she got caught. And I was like, wow, that's some modern technology.
This is in third grade.
In third grade,
What?
that would have been like April of 2010.
Do you even
I think it was.
remember what you were doing in third grade? I don't. I don't think I would
Uh,
have the ingenuity to try cheating with a iPhone.
I mean, that was if you're cheating on that test, I think you need to get help. Yeah. Third grade, I remember I got a question wrong on a test in third grade.
On the tax test?
No. Texas was too easy for that. No, I'm alienating some of our
Yeah,
viewers
I
who
know.
might be
That's what I was
struggling
gonna say.
academically.
You're alienating the lower percentile who we're inclusive, right? It's okay.
We are inclusive
The
people, yes.
test can be tough.
They're not always easy.
Yeah,
It's a skill. It's not necessarily representative of your knowledge.
right.
You know. Anyway, I was saying something. Oh, I got a question wrong on a test, right? Um, and it was like, how can you hear better? You want to like eavesdrop on a conversation. That was what the question was. Uh, and you wanna like listen as easily as possible. Is it easier if you listen with the door open, right? So like these people are talking in a room, and there's like a door to the room. Is it easier to hear what they're saying with the door open or the door closed? That was what the question was.
Are you
Uh,
what is this
and
like spy test? What kind of class is asking these kinds of questions?
oh no, I've been compromised.
Cover blown.
Oh no, I'm gonna stop talking now in like 5 minutes when my squad leader
When
comes
your
to pick me
handler
up.
comes, your CIA handler.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, actually though, what kind of test is asking these kinds of questions?
I think I might have filled in some of the details. It's I don't think it was eavesdropping. I'm pretty sure it was just somebody's calling you from another room and you want to have a conversation with them or something. I don't know. Anyway,
Hmm.
the answer was door closed. It's easier to hear with the door closed. Um, and I was like, why? And apparently, I don't know. It's something to do with like the solid sound travels easier through solids than
Yeah,
air.
yeah.
But I mean, if you're like across the house and somebody's yelling at you through a closed door, I think it's going to be much harder to hear than if the door is open. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I'm not going to have my ear to the door. That's
it's probably constraining that situation to your ear to the door. Exactly. Like
yeah.
not having multiple layers. in front, because then that would make it very difficult. Though I don't even know, yeah, why is that? Like,
A
even with the
question.
scenario that you said, like, if it's not
I don't remember
eavesdropping,
the
if it's
scenario.
just someone calling to you, what kind of class is still teaching that? Is this like social skills class? How to
It
talk to
was
people?
science. I don't know, man. I don't I actually remember what the scenario
Oh,
was.
okay,
I
wait,
just
wait, that
remember that
makes
the
more
answer was
sense. If it's like science class, just to teach that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sound waves go
Oh
through
yeah, yeah.
like a
No,
saw faster.
the class would be yeah, yeah. The science class. No, but that was my first lesson in test taking. You answer the question that they meant to ask, not the question that they did ask. And you can always point to something that you're supposed to know to answer the question. So that was a lesson for, I had previously alienated some of our viewers. I think this brought them back into the fold. I gave them a valuable life skill right there.
I think you just alienated me because I have no clue what that even means. You're not. I thought you're supposed to answer the test question, but you just said don't do that.
Answer the question that they meant to ask, like the question that you think is being asked, like there could be,
As opposed to what?
like, I don't know, because clearly that question was meant to test your understanding of the speed of sound through different media, right?
Ah,
And
I get what you mean. Okay.
yeah, yeah. And that's not what I had interpreted it as.
Right.
I thought it was just a common sense question. But why would there be a common sense question on a science test? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So,
That's not. You have to imagine what is this test aimed at assessing, and then view all the questions through that perspective or lens to get the correct answer. Yeah.
exactly. And I feel like that's not applicable to any life skill, which is why I don't like standardized tests.
Right. That's true. Yeah, I don't remember like for standardized testing, I don't know. I have mixed feelings. I can't say I have mixed feelings. I don't have any feelings. I don't know. I don't feel as passionately as other people like who dislike it, but I don't like it
Hmm.
either. I don't really have any feelings about standardized testing. It was just a thing that I had to do growing up, going through the school system.
Right. I mean, what is the alternative, really? How do you assess somebody's knowledge without
Exactly.
an assessment? Yeah.
Oh, and that's a great segue to something that I kind of recently, it wasn't really recent, but it was that a lot of colleges now aren't using SAT and standardized test scores
Hmm.
to, I don't know, assess their applicants, which makes it, like, I feel like that's even more difficult. First of all, because now you can't prune your applicant pool using like an easy metric just right away, which
Hmm.
they always say they don't do, but I have to assume they do that. Where,
No, they definitely do that.
yeah. So that makes it, if they really aren't using those scores now, that makes it very much more time consuming to go through every applicant.
Need to go through all the essays. I mean, yeah, I don't know why they do that. Um, I guess Chicago. I mean, Chicago did it at first, right? But I think COVID is making it even more widespread because with SAT, like, it's dangerous to take it now because you have to like risk your
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Um,
what I was gonna say is that would be, for me, that would have been a disadvantage because I think I did well on my standardized test, and I think that
hmm.
was only a benefit for me in my college searching endeavor. And if I
Right.
didn't have that, maybe I wouldn't be here today talking.
We are so, but by virtue of how we met, we're not a representative sample
Right.
of the test taking population. But I sympathize with those who may not be um, as examination inclined,
Hmm.
as some others.
No, that's. I think that brings a interesting point. that I just want to address with the podcast in general. We're thinking of bringing guests in future episode, right? And kind of relating to what we were just saying, that would be something interesting for a guest who probably doesn't go to the same college as us and might have a different view on,
A different perspective.
yes, on these standardized tests impact on college applications. But yeah, I'm excited for that part. Speaking about not the standardized being cut out, the guests on the podcast. You excited about that?
Yeah, yeah, I'm very, very excited. Wait, who did you have in mind? This is the first I'm hearing of a guest from another school.
Oh, from other school, I don't have anybody in mind yet. But I was
Ah, I
saying
see.
in the
Okay.
future, I think having people from all different kinds of areas of our lives that will probably have a different perspective than us in particular areas, and then we can talk to them about those particular things, kind of understand and see kind of the differences, which will be really interesting. That is something that I'm excited about, and hopefully we'll have a guest very soon. Maybe the next episode we'll have to see, but I think I'm just excited for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll have a future guest on, and he's been mentioned a few times, but as soon as it'll be a real surprise, and I think it'll be a fun time as soon as we get him on whatever episode that may be.
Yeah, it'll add some interesting color.
Yes, that's
Oh,
true.
yeah. While we're still on the topic of standardized tests, um, I was going to mention. So, other countries, uh, the standardized test is like the only thing. So, the
Yes,
U.S. already was moving pretty far away from standardized tests with the college essays and the extracurriculars and this and that.
yes,
In some countries, it's just, you take the test. If you do bad, well, you're out of luck.
yeah. That's something that I see in like Asian media.
Hmm.
Certainly, if you're like in China or Taiwan or Japan, especially like because I took a Japanese culture class my first semester here at Carnegie Mellon University. In part, one of the topics that we talked about was the test taking culture and how stressful that is, like how
Hmm.
a lot of young people in Japan go through that, and it's some kind of, I forgot the exactly why we talked about it, but yeah, we did talk about that, and it's certainly prevalent in a lot of the East Asian countries and India, of course.
In India, yeah. My dad had to take it.
If you have a seesaw between these two, right? Which side of the seesaw do you want to be on? The American way or the that way? And we're kind of biased because we're American, but I would
Okay.
prefer the
But we're
American
also kind
way.
of biased because we did well on our standardized tests.
No, but that would be against it. Like, wait, so do you prefer the American way or the other way?
Okay. So there's many biases going in because I am also a beneficiary because I am Hispanic. I am one of the chief beneficiaries of the admissions process, right? Because of affirmative action.
Right.
And I don't know how I feel about that, really. I feel like affirmative action unfairly um, benefits sort of middle to upper middle class, I guess wealthy. I mean, anybody who isn't poor, like Hispanics and like minority groups, right? Ethnic minority groups. I feel like it should be more biased towards those in lower socioeconomic groups rather than race based because, like the chief uh, resource allocator, I guess you could say, right? Like the biggest thing that helps you succeed academically is how wealthy you are.
Mm.
Um, and your race, I mean, race and wealth are very strongly correlated, which is why we have this system in the first place. Um, but basing it solely on race will place undue emphasis and priority is a good word, on affluent ethnic minority groups.
Right.
Um,
So what you're more suggesting is that if you're of a minority ethnic group, if you're still wealthy, then you still have a pretty good chance or opportunity to succeed like in the education system.
yeah,
It's
I'm
more
saying
of a
that, and
factor of money instead of race.
this is a very controversial opinion potentially, though. And one thing I don't want to be is a controversial public figure. Um, so I will.
The police is coming to get you for that controversial opinion.
Already,
Yeah, you're already
no,
getting.
I've been found out.
It's either that or your CIA handlers coming. One of the two.
No. Um, so I will attenuate that statement by saying that I had no intention. I have no intention of disparaging the plight of minorities in this country. I think they have been through a lot, and there is still much work to be done. Um, and as I said previously, there is a very strong correlation between socioeconomic status in this country with your race.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, so the two are kind of connected in that way as well.
yeah, so I made no statement about systemic racism. I've made no statement about um, like social inequality with regards to race. I'm just saying that the college admissions process uh, perhaps has an unintended side effect, biases towards affluent ethnic minority groups, um, perhaps when it shouldn't.
Right, so there's 2 points that I want to go off that. The first one is how does it specifically help affluent minority groups but not the socioeconomically disadvantaged minority groups? If
Oh, it helps
it's
both,
okay,
but
it
the thing
helps the
about
affluent ones more
the
disproportionately.
affluent ones is that they may already have access to all of the resources they need to succeed, right? Things like a tutor or some test prep, um, that sort of thing. So, or like they don't have to work a job to support their family on top of going to school. Things like the cycle of poverty, right? They don't need to break out of because they're already not impoverished, uh, and so they don't need extra help necessarily, necessarily, unless the system is extremely rigged against them, which it might be. But that's a different conversation.
Right. So, yeah, I agree. I think that is well said, and those points I agree with as well. The second point I wanted to say was this isn't just restricted with college admissions, because one thing that I noticed while doing internship searching, like job
Uh-huh.
applications, is that same field where they ask about race, uh, more often than not, there's also the thing where it asks specifically, are you Hispanic?
Hispanic or
Yes.
Latino? Yes, sir.
And why do you think so a lot of why do you think specifically there's one specific one for Hispanic and Latino, but like other minority groups there's like no such a specific question.
I have no idea. I don't know actually the answer to that question. Why do you think?
Uh Honestly, I don't know either. And okay, let's pivot. Instead of asking why do you think, how does that make you feel that as a
That
Hispanic
I'm
that like even more so than other minority groups you're singled out in like a good way?
I don't know. See, I have a tendency to think that I should not have been given so much opportunity that I have been afforded so far in my life. I feel like I'm totally undeserving of anything good that's ever happened to me, and yet good things continue to happen to me. Um, and like that's a very sort of pessimistic worldview, I guess you could say. But like how I view it is sort of I'm like I don't know. I'm like it's like very biased and unfair. Except I'm the beneficiary, so I shouldn't complain, right? That's how I feel.
Right.
I shouldn't complain because otherwise I'm shooting my foot basically.
Hmm.
I'm shooting myself in the foot.
I just did a quick Google search, and apparently the reason is because Asian, white slash Caucasian, black, those are races, and being Hispanic is more
Is an
of a
ethnicity.
ethnicity, right? So you could be like Hispanic and white or Hispanic and
Hmm.
black. So
That is
that's
true.
actually why they particularly ask that because I mean, I'm wondering, aren't there other ethnicities that kind of can have that as well? Probably none as prevalent as Hispanic
Not
though.
really. I mean, American.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
The melting pot.
yeah. I mean, pretty much any the continents of America, or I guess the Americas will have that. And
Right.
you can pretty cleanly divide that into the Anglosphere and the Latinosphere.
Right. Great. So
Hmm.
that was pretty enlightening. Or we got pretty off track, but
Hmm.
I think that was
Yeah, people are
pretty
often surprised to find that they're white Hispanics, in my experience. Um, oh yeah, they exist. My mom is one.
hmm. When it's
Uh,
white Hispanic, does that mean like just light skinned or
yeah, it's just a phenotype. It's a physical characteristic. You're fair skinned.
if you're a white Hispanic, do you think you could pass as just a regular non-Hispanic white? Does the
Um,
Hispanic ethnicity have phenotypical characteristic as well?
well, I mean, it means that you're descended from Spanish people, right? Um, like, I mean, Ted Cruz, he's he's Hispanic. Um, his dad was Cuban, and he's like, I mean, he looks like a white guy. You know,
Right.
it's
Okay.
just your accent is American. That's what makes you.
Yeah.
Like you have Italian Americans, and you go up, their like great grandfather was Italian. They came here. They don't look any different. It's just a phenotype. It's just how you look. The only difference is your accent.
Yeah. White Hispanics.
Like president of Brazil, Bolsonaro, he's a white Hispanic.
Right. He doesn't look. He just looks. I think I have an image of what a Latino or Hispanic person looks like,
Hmm.
and
Everyone does. They're like darker skinned, sort of. They got that little mustache.
that's true. I think they're darker skinned, but I don't factor as much into how dark their skin is because it's more of other facial characteristics, I think. Uh,
Hmm.
I can't describe it though. I just have the image in my head, but it's very hard to describe, right? To put into words exactly what
Yeah.
kind of characteristics. Like that's one of the, I guess it's a stereotype of Asians, right? But people say slanty eyes, and
Right.
that is at least one thing you can describe because otherwise, how would you describe Asian besides that? I can't think of
Mm,
anything
I'm not sure.
particular.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that for like each race also.
There are people that would beg to differ.
Well,
um,
that's true. uh, we'll
yeah.
just.
No, we all come in different shapes and sizes.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it's like I don't know. People have this like image of Hispanic people in their minds, and I feel like That's. I mean, there are people there that look like that. That's for sure. But they don't all look like that. It's like here. It's like the U.S. There are people that look different, and the reason for that is because of immigration. Lots of people from many different places have come into this one place, and it's the same story. Like you go to Argentina and you find a bunch of Italian people. Argentinian Spanish is basically Spanish with an Italian accent. But it's like there's people of all different shapes and sizes there.
Yeah. I'm thinking, did Mr. Diarios de Motocicletas? I don't think he went down to Argentina.
Che Guevara?
Yeah,
No,
Che Guevara.
I don't think so.
Trying to remember where he went, but I don't
Uh,
remember.
it was like Bolivia. That's where he died, I think.
Mm.
Um,
It's funny, as I watched the whole uh, movie about him, right? Like this Diarios de Motocicletas, and I read parts of his book, and I don't remember anything about him. Like I don't know, I forgot why exactly he's loved slash hated.
he's
Uh,
like a youth figure, a
right,
tragic
his
hero.
face is on like shirts and stuff. That's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
the main reason I know him.
He's also a Marxist. So if you fall into that camp, a liberal, some people, some people may like that.
Just liberals in general.
Well, I mean, I feel like, I mean, I don't know if you can call Joe Biden a liberal, but if you can call Joe Biden a liberal, you cannot say that all liberals would support Che Guevara.
All right, that makes sense.
There are many flavors of uh, liberalism.
I feel like you could
I
say
want
the same for conservatism, though.
uh,
They're like both spectrums.
yeah, it's politics is very complicated. I don't know
Hmm.
anything about it. So,
Yeah, I don't either.
yeah, all right, moving on.
Okay, so reoccurring bits on this show, we gotta have them, right? First one is the grammar nitpicks. Apart
Yeah,
versus
yeah,
apart. It strikes again. I'm
does
just
it.
doing my I'm just minding my own business, browsing the internet, and of course somebody in a Reddit thread misuses it, and I internally get a little triggered. So this person, I think I was reading a thread about people match fixing. Do you know what match fixing is?
No.
Oh, okay. So match fixing is, suppose you have two teams that are playing a football game,
Mm-hmm.
and one team just intentionally decides to try and lose.
Oh, okay.
They're like
Oh, so you
throwing the
fix a
game.
match. Makes
Yes,
sense.
yes.
Okay. That's
And
what match.
you do
Mm.
that because perhaps you bet on yourself to lose, so then you make
Or
money outside
somebody's
of the game.
paying you to lose.
Or yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So it was talking about this in esports, in this in a game called Counter Strike Global
Mm-hmm.
Offensive, right?
I've heard of it. Sounds
And they were
familiar.
talking about how people in that match fix in that game had jumped to like a new shiny game that came out, and now they were competing in that game.
Mm.
And so that's like the context, right? And the specific phrase is everyone else that seemed to be a part of things have now been dropped. And drop means they've been released from whatever team they were competing for. And of course, in that sentence, they use a part as a single word when it's supposed to be a part.
2 words.
Again,
I don't know, man. You understood what they meant?
okay,
I don't
but
see the issue.
okay. See that this is like the perspective. As long as you understand, is it okay?
Yeah.
I disagree.
Yeah.
Especially for this one, because come on, like it's not that hard. You just put a space in between and you have it right.
Yeah,
And
but I mean, he's thinking about it in his head. There's that little voice in his head telling him what to write down. He get mixed up sometimes. It's not that bad. He's sounding very prescriptivist.
that's rich. Uh, I don't care. I hate it. It's really annoying, and I notice it every single time. Hence why I brought it up on this podcast episode. I
Yeah.
noticed it specifically when I was just casually reading this thread. So
We need to let go of these things, though. I think we
Well,
should. It's like then. Every time I see it, I'm like,
oh, okay.
it's
See,
not.
see, you
But
need to let
like,
go of that, huh?
exactly. That's exactly my point. We all have those things, and we need to let go of them.
No, I
Take a deep
disagree.
breath.
I'm gonna
Tell
keep this
ourselves it
one.
doesn't matter.
I'm
You
keeping
know,
this one.
be inclusive.
No, I'm not about grammar inclusivity. I'm about do it
Grammar
right.
and Nazism.
What?
Grammar Nazism.
Only for a part and a part. Only for
Hmm.
this particular duo of words. I think it's important.
Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
Bonnie Clyde.
Is that the first duo that comes to mind when you think of duo?
That was the first thing that came to my mind when you said duo. Actually, that's not true. It's the second thing. The first thing that came to mind was Duolingo.
That's unrelated. Not the same
Totally,
definition of duo.
totally unrelated.
Have you ever used Duolingo?
I have, unsuccessfully. I'm really bad at committing to things. Um, but I can say il bambino mangiano una mela now.
And what does that
The,
mean?
the boy is eating an apple in Italian.
Is that the only thing you learned?
Pretty much.
Great. Wait, what did you try to learn? Italian for them that from that app?
That was many years ago, but yes. I also learned a
Mm.
bit of Greek. That's why I have the Greek keyboard. So
Is that the only
I,
reason? I thought you would have the Greek keyboard because you type like symbols and stuff for your
yeah,
classes
well,
a lot.
I thought it would be useful for a couple things, so I got it on there. But at the time, I was learning Greek, so. But
Also,
now, not so much.
is it
I
really
actually
that
forgot.
special? Like, if you have a Windows, right, you can just add a keyboard and just switch between them, right?
That's what that is.
Oh, okay. You
I
just have
added a
it
keyboard on
specifically
Windows.
for Greek. Okay.
Yeah. You can add it for any language. I just hit a button and then boom, I'm typing Greek now.
So how's it different? Like, how are the keys mapped differently with different letters in the Greek alphabet?
Well, I mean, a lot of the letters in Greek like correspond to letters in like English, right? So yeah, like phi, and that makes the f sound.
So is that P?
No, f sound, so it's f.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Then how about
and then
omega? That's like a three-syllable thing.
yeah, it takes me a little while to find it. No, but omega, all the letters respond like correspond to sounds, right? That's how like W. What sound does W make? Um,
Wait,
so
that's a
it's
letter?
W.
No, in Greek?
No. I was drawing a comparison. So you said what sound does omega make?
Oh, I see.
It makes the O sound, but
Oh,
like
okay.
it's called something different, just like W is called. Omega actually looks like a W.
That's true. Wait, so the keyboard is arranged such that it phonetically sounds like English, the closest English sounding thing? That's how it's arranged?
Sometimes, other times, like omega, there's no real like corresponding sound, so it's mapped to V. It took me a few tries to actually find it because I didn't know where it was.
Oh, wait, I thought you
Uh,
said omega was the O sound.
it is the O sound, but there's another. Um, there's like an O. It's like a different O sound. Omega is more rounded. It's like O. Um, I'm pretty sure. To our Greek listeners, I apologize if I'm getting this completely wrong. It's been like several months
Your old
since
math teacher is cringing.
um, there's a different. It's called Omicron, and
Mm,
that's what gets mapped to O, and it looks just like O. Um, just like there's like two E sounds or something. There's like the I don't remember what they're called. There's like eta and some other one. There's like this one. I forgot what
epsilon?
that one's called.
Epsilon?
Epsilon is eh. It's not e.
Isn't that in eh? What kind of sound? What letter is that then?
Epsilon is eh, right?
Oh, I guess. I guess that
Then
makes
there's
sense.
e. E and eh are two completely different sounds. Um,
Mm.
Yeah, they're two completely. Your mouth is high for the e, and it's like middle for the eh.
Hmm,
Uh, yeah,
that makes sense.
so that's how the keys get mapped. It sometimes makes sense, other times it doesn't. Like this gets mapped to Q,
The
a semicolon.
semicolon to
It's I think
Q.
it what I
Wait, is Q a Greek letter?
Q is not a Greek letter. No, there's no letter that looks
Oh,
like it.
so if you're on the Greek keyboard and you want to type a semicolon, you have to click Q.
So actually, in Greek, semicolons are question marks. Um, and so
Wait, so like
I
if you're
guess
writing in Greek, if you want to question something, you put a semicolon?
yeah, you put a
Wait,
question semicolon at the
what?
end. Yeah. Um,
That's so weird. Like what other I don't think any other language
does that?
does
Well, you
that.
don't know that.
Yeah,
How
I
does
don't
Russian
know
do
that,
it?
but I'm thinking the major languages certainly like a question mark
Well,
is still kind of like the same
I
symbol.
mean, Greek uses a completely different script than like any other language, right? So, what do you mean by the major language? How does Chinese mark questions?
Well, you have like a word, but when you like write out stuff, you can still use like a question mark or exclamation point. Like I still see those in sentences, which
In
is why,
Chinese?
yeah, like if you're just
That,
writing stuff, like you ask a question, you have a specific word, it's called ma, uh, that
hmm
really indicates a question, but you still have like punctuation because you're like formatting a sentence, right? And people still put question marks, which
That
is,
sounds like a very American thing to do. Like, I mean, sorry, because of American influence in the
that
world.
makes sense, sure.
Yeah, I highly doubt that like pre 1950s China would have had periods and question marks and exclamation
Okay,
points.
wait, but doesn't like Spanish? I know like when I was
Well,
learning,
Spanish uses the same exact script as English, doesn't it? And so does Italian and French and Romanian and Turkish. Well, Turkish is a different story, but
so those question marks are part of the same strip. What do you mean by strip?
well,
Oh,
script.
script.
um, yeah, they're all the same script. So, but I mean, yeah, it's like you can. Who says that the question mark should be a question mark?
Okay, then so how about like periods and commas? Are those the same?
I think I'm not actually sure. I think they're the same.
I feel like that would get really confusing though. Well, I
Not if you're
guess
Greek.
well, what I was gonna say, I guess this is pretty recent with how globalized everything is and how everything is like across the world is connected. But when you are more isolated, I guess it doesn't matter because you're just mainly communicating with people who speak the same language. So this isn't
hmm
a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's very Americocentric to think that everyone does things the same way that you do. Actually, I mean, I'm sure that can be said for a lot of cultures, right? You just kind of assume that other people do the same thing that you do, but things vary a lot culture by culture. Actually, you'd be surprised, you know?
Yeah, I
Like,
just never thought something like punctuation was that different.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you'd be surprised. It's like that's something very arbitrary, right? We've just come up with a symbol to mark the end of sentences. There's no reason that they should look like a question mark, you know? For the same reason that our letters, there's no reason that they should look the same.
Right.
I mean, like in different cultures, they like count in different ways, you know?
Yeah.
If you remember in, what was that movie?
Inglorious Bastards?
Inglorious Bastards, exactly.
Yes.
The way he held up his three.
That's actually even different from like the American way and the mainland European way. Brits just got to do it themselves, their own way. It's a good point.
So, mhm. And I mean, it gets even more different than that. Some people, it's like they go up their like arms. They use both of their hands in order to make the thing. They can count up to like extremely high numbers because they use their whole body to count.
Where did you? What is this? Like, where did you hear about this?
I
What?
have no idea. I don't know how I know most of the
Yeah,
things that
wait.
I know. So that is a true thing. I can. I've seen it
Using
somewhere.
your body to count?
You like
What could you buy with your body count? That's the first thing that pops up.
um, yeah, they're like you point to different regions of your arm, and that represents different numbers. Um,
Oh, I
I
see.
think it was some like Pacific Island thing. I don't actually remember.
I had such a
Um,
bad Google search query that the first four or so results were all talking about body count in reference to how many people you've had sex with. One such system is the body part counting system, which makes use of further body parts to extend the system beyond the 10 fingers. And
hmm
it's mainly in Oceania. That makes
Okay, I
sense,
got the
what you were
Pacific
saying.
right.
You could go up to
Um,
27. You could go up to
mm.
37. I mean, you have your 10 fingers, and then you have your 10
Oh, and that's
toe
another thing. Some
digits.
people, it's not even base 10, their number system.
Yeah.
It's like like French, you know? I don't actually know how the French numbering system works, but I heard somebody explain it to me.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
I've seen a video about it. It's like
right,
New York cabbie explains the French
number system.
number
I've seen that
system.
video too.
Yeah, it's pretty
It's
funny.
crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's and who came up with that? Some like guy when he got drunk and he decided to come up with a numbering system.
So I guess English is very inherent. That's not true. Uh, what I was thinking, because English has 11, 12, 13, 14, like 12 and 11. No, wait, that does still have a connection with 2 and 1.
Mm.
I'm
Oh,
thinking
you're
like
talking
how
about the
it's,
numbering system.
yeah, with like English.
Well, some things are in like base 20, you know, you've got scores, um, like four score and 7 years ago. That's
Right.
uh that's 87 years, right? Some things are in base 12, dozen, half dozen.
Mm-hmm.
So we got things like that. But yeah, base 10 is very common because we have 10 fingers.
Right. Yeah. With date, you got fortnight. Fortnight. It's 2 weeks.
Yeah, 14 days.
It's all over. It's very interesting. I didn't know you could wait, I'm curious how they do 37. Like how else you could do it.
Well, you could count in binary with your fingers. So now you have 10 bits,
Oh
and so
my
you
god.
can say that's 1024 different possibilities.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. What the
Mm-hmm.
hell? Wait, that's pretty ingenious. So you have like you can count up to 1,000 then.
1024. But yeah,
1,024.
um, I mean, okay, I don't think anybody's ever come up with that, like a culture. that's, that's like something that
This is the new way that computer scientists are gonna count with their fingers.
somebody told me this though. It's not like I came up with it on my own. But I mean, it's natural to think about it, I guess, once you've been exposed to computer things
Yeah. I mean, I never
on and
thought of
on.
that, but I'm gonna use that. No, I'm not gonna use that.
You're not.
I'm
You're really not.
not. Well, maybe if
um,
I have to go above 10, or have to go big numbers, maybe.
yeah.
No, probably not.
No, there's so much variation from culture to culture. It is crazy. I mean, anthropologists have their hands full like all the time because it's just honest. Like Star Trek, by comparison, with all their like alien civilizations and stuff, is unimaginative and uninspired compared to the sheer diversity of thought and culture and values and customs that exists in the human species. It's actually mind-boggling. Um, the way, few different ways people do things. Um, like linguistically, I have a friend. Oh, I've already mentioned him who's studying linguistics. Maybe we should have him a guest on our show.
Hmm. Maybe you should ask him sometime.
Ask him. Yeah, maybe we'll see.
So
I'm
he's
sure he
studying
has lots to say.
So he's studying linguistics, and what about that?
The linguistic, like language, is so different from culture to culture, right? I mean, you speak Chinese and English both, and they're completely different languages, right?
Yeah.
Their word structure and the way they're written, the way um, their like writing systems are represented completely different, right? Their word roots. There's no way to unify them. If they ever were once ancestrally linked to a single language, there's no trace of that language in those languages anymore. That's how disparate they are.
Wasn't there a global language, like an attempt at creating a global language?
There have been several. This is called conlanging. This is actually like a field. I mean, not really a field. It's like a hobby mostly, but people have tried. Conlang is a portmanteau of constructed language.
Constructive
Um,
logic.
constructed language. Um, so I think what you were referring to was Esperanto, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah,
mostly
that's the one.
for
Spanish
uh,
and
no, it's like Romance, sort of Indo-European languages.
uh
Um, yeah, there's actually a native speaker of Esperanto. Like their parents talked to them in Esperanto as a child.
oh
Uh,
man.
uh, I think quite a few.
That
Uh,
is
That's pretty cool. No, it's not like cruelty though. They also spoke to them in like a real language. Yeah, yeah,
Imagine that though. That's like the first language you learn, and when you grow up, yeah, like that would just be tough because your whole life you just don't have
yeah. That'd be pretty
a
bad.
fallback because
Uh,
nobody, not a lot of
Nobody
people
taught you.
speak it.
I think it's like it's in the thousands that speak it. It's like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent of the world that you can actually talk to.
Yeah. Like the odds of even meeting someone that does speak that,
Hmm.
small, very small.
Extremely small. I don't think
Yes,
I'll ever meet anybody that speaks Esperanto.
that's true. Well, why don't I learn right now? And then there you
Oh shit.
go.
Yeah. You want to learn together? I think Duolingo has an Esperanto.
uh, you see, can both be. I don't know about committing to that one. I don't know how good I'm at committing to learning Esperanto.
Totally useless language.
Yeah, I would rather commit to learning something more useful
Useful.
or improving my linguistic ability with what I already know. Like, I think that would be more useful than.
If you could learn another language, what would it be? And I
Well,
guess not Spanish. You probably say Spanish, right?
I was gonna say Spanish, yeah.
Okay,
Just
so
'cause
maybe not Spanish.
Russian then.
Oh, really?
Either
Why Russian?
Russian or Japanese.
Okay,
I would say
two countries
Russian.
that border each other.
I was thinking Russian just for broad reach. That like covers a ton of the Eastern Europe, Russia, Central Asia, with like the Stan countries.
Hmm.
That just allows you to like more visiting those would be more accessible because then you know the language.
Like bald and bankrupt.
Yeah. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah.
If you had never seen a bald and bankrupt video, I doubt that
You would
you
want to
would have
visit
said
those
Russian.
countries?
No, I doubt
No.
that you would have said Russian.
Well, I think I would have still said Russian. Uh, Probably not for those reasons though, but just 'cause I don't know, to speak with Russians on
Russian school.
CS:GO or something.
Yeah,
I
you
still
know
think
my.
Russian is cool though, yeah. Even
Uh-huh.
without knowing about Bald and Bankrupt.
Yeah, I took a introductory linguistics class in my freshman year. Um,
Of high
it's called
school?
Nature of no
Oh, yeah.
of college. It's called Nature of Language, and my TA for that class was she spoke Russian, She like learned it in school.
Oh, so she didn't
So
learn it natively.
no, she just learned Russian. I think it's pretty good, her Russian too. Um, so I
I
thought that was
mean,
pretty cool.
are
I've
you
never
a
seen.
good judge
I
of?
mean, no, but she was talking about how she like sent an email to some Russian professor in Russia. Um, like the whole email was in Russian, and I thought that was pretty cool. But that's all I have to base off her Russian skill. But I'd assume that she can speak because he was also like a linguistics major. So,
That would make
so
sense. Do you think you
linguistics
could
and math.
write a whole Spanish email without Google Translate?
With agriculture, yeah, probably.
Okay, so
I mean, it
suppose,
depends on what the content of the email is,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So what if it's asking a professor for a late day?
Hmm. Um. I don't
Like,
know
do
if
you even know how
extension.
how would you start the email? How do you like querido? Is it querido? Wait,
I feel
no,
like querido is like a bit too.
informal.
No. I don't know actually how you would. I mean, I would say estimado probably. Um, estimado
Estimado
profesor.
profesor,
Um,
necesito un.
no, I wouldn't start it that way. That sounds too
Oh, that's true.
abrupt, right? I was probably
Yeah.
say pienso que uh, like necesitará un. Uh, I don't know if extensión is a word or if it is a word, if it translates the same thing. But más tiempo en mi tarea, right? Something like that. I mean, yeah, I could probably do that. I can get the message across in writing for sure.
Yeah. I I think I could definitely get the message across. I bet I could do it in Spanish. I think I know enough to get a message across, but it would
Hmm.
be so impolite with how direct I'd be. I'd be like, necesito dia más or something. I don't know, more days por
Yeah,
la tarea, something like
I
that.
think is it por la tarea or para la tarea?
Oh, yo, that reminds me. There was one of the things I wanted to talk about was I had this middle school teacher. He's called Dr. Avellaneda. And there's a reason why I'm referring to him as Dr. Avellaneda because he made sure that whatever we called him, it was not Mr., it was Doctor because he had a PhD in something. I think it was
Yeah.
Spanish something. And what was interesting is he's a middle school teacher, right? He was my middle school teacher, but he was previously a professor at University of Wisconsin. I remember he always used to, I guess, flex about that. But
Uh-huh.
then he
At
like,
Madison?
huh? I
At
think so.
Madison?
Yeah, I think so.
Uh-huh.
And then he decided to become a middle school teacher, I guess, at some
In
point.
Oregon?
Yeah, like when he moved here, I think it was because his wife. Well, I remember he got divorced because he talked about his ex-wife more than his actual wife.
Yikes.
Like, uh, like I don't know if that's really a bad thing because he was more of talking about stories of particular
Hmm.
things, and I think maybe his ex-wife had particular stories. Um, but wait, why was I talking? Oh yeah, he's a Spanish teacher, so professor, and former professor, and one of the main things that he taught us, like what was so interesting about his classes, it's a Spanish class, right? But more than half the classes, we didn't talk about Spanish. We talked about just like how to
Yeah.
work efficiently, how to think,
Oh.
and he was talking about like the world also. We would like go into like politics and stuff. Like half the classes, it wouldn't really be about Spanish. And it was it was certainly interesting being it was actually pretty fun being in his class. Though he gave like a lot of homework and I Google translated all the time.
Oh my God.
So I'm sorry, Dr. A, but
Is that what you called him, Dr. A?
yeah, that's what how we were supposed to refer to him, Dr. A.
Uh-huh.
So that just reminded me
You
because
know
he had
that?
this whole presentation about poor versus para, and his I guess it
Hmm.
was part of because he was a professor, right, teaching this stuff. But his presentations about por versus para and subjuntivo, it was like really good, really detailed slides and stuff. I
Um,
think you were gonna say something about.
yeah, there was a Spanish teacher at my high school who was a doctor also, and um, we thought it was. We don't actually know what he has a doctorate in, but he's a doctor, and I run into him sometimes uh, because he lives in the same apartment complex as one of my friends. So he's
Mm.
like in the lobby sometimes. That was pretty funny.
Did you have to refer to him as a doctor when you were?
I never had him. So
Oh,
he was
okay.
the quiz bowl coach, um, and so that's how I like know he exists.
Do you know if your friends who took that class with him ever
I
had to
don't know a
refer
single
to him?
person who took
Oh.
that class.
Well, how about
He's
people
so
who participated in Quiz Bowl?
yeah, we always called him Dr. Stager.
Okay. I guess as soon as you become a doctorate, uh, I mean, I wouldn't blame them if they want to like flex, because that's a lot of work to become
Yeah, it
that,
is a lot of work, really.
get to that position.
I mean, you have to think, right? It's like you're in school from the age of 5 to like 26,
Is that
21
when
years.
you get a doctorate?
Well, I mean,
Master,
it could be
master's
even
is
longer.
yeah, master's is like
Yeah.
2 years, and then how how long does it usually take to get a PhD after that?
No, so the thing about the master's and the PhD is that like you you like you do the PhD and okay, so you can get a master's if you want to get a master's, right? But if you want to get a PhD, you apply to a PhD program. You like do a PhD, and some programs are structured so that if you like drop out early, you can get a master's instead. Um, so
Oh,
it's like
so master's and PhD for most schools are separate.
yeah,
Like separate
I'm
as
pretty
in
sure.
ongoing at the same time. Like you either choose to pursue a PhD or a master's.
Yeah, I think that's how it is. I'm pretty sure that's how it is.
Huh.
Yeah,
So is it
it's like two
longer
different
for a
kinds of
PhD
degrees.
then? Like
Oh
four
yeah,
years?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
It could be longer than that even. My professor for one of my classes, uh, my writing for the professions class, he's a PhD student, and I think he's like 29 or something.
Damn. Oh, that
So
so if he's a student, that means he hasn't gotten it yet.
yes, yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, so the thing is, you don't get the PhD until you have defended your dissertation, and like you have to like make a dissertation. You have to like find, I don't know, write about something. I don't actually know how it works. You got to contribute to the corpus of human knowledge in some way, shape, or form, and then you like present that to like a group of people, and they have to be like, "Yep, that was good," and then boom, you have a PhD.
Mm.
And that's a lot of work to like do
Yeah, that sounds really daunting.
that. My dad did it.
Do you
I'm
know
not. I
what he presented?
I've actually seen his dissertation. It's a book. It's a really thick book.
He wrote all of
uh,
that?
yeah, he wrote every single
Like
page in that book.
how thick was it?
It's not really that thick. I mean, it's like a book. It looks like a book. It's
Mm.
like bound nicely. It looks very nice.
Wow.
um, since he had to present that, it seems like so much work, really.
Have you ever asked him or to like share his experiences with that kind of stuff?
Um, yeah, I mean, he just says it was. I don't know. My dad was pretty smart. He still is pretty smart.
Yeah. He was,
uh,
but not now. Not anymore as soon as he became a
not anymore.
parent.
Yeah. There's a saying by Mark Twain. There's a quote from Mark Twain. It said, "When I was 14, I used to think, wow, my dad knows nothing about the world. So how has he made it this far? Um, and then 7 years later, when I was 21, I was astonished by how much he was able to learn in these 7 short years. You're supposed to laugh
Yeah.
at the joke.
Oh, that was a joke?
Yeah, it
I'm
was just
sorry.
okay. Well, never mind.
Hey,
The
it's
joke
not
is
your
that
fault. It's Mark Twain's fault. It didn't land
said
with me.
in 7 short years. That's like since he was 14. So he was dumb when he was 14, and then he learned a lot. 7 years
Yeah, I don't see how that's a
later.
joke. That's just true though. You're dumb when you're 14.
No, no, his dad. That's what he's making a claim about his dad.
Oh. Wait, what? Oh, so like his dad learned in
Just forget it. Don't worry about it.
Mark Twain is rolling in his grave.
I don't even know if Mark Twain said that.
What? Misquoting people now? Oh no.
No, he did. He did say that.
Okay. Well, yeah, wait. Going back to it, do you know what he talked about in what his dissertation was about?
Something about petroleum engineering. But
Wait,
the title was
why is
like
it called
a
a
paragraph long.
dissertation instead of like a thesis? Are they different?
I think the dissertation is the presentation. Or maybe
Oh, okay.
no, that's not true. Actually, that's not true at all. I completely made that up. It's the same thing as a thesis. Yeah,
Okay.
a dissertation and a thesis are the same thing.
I see. Petroleum engineer. I could do a dissertation. Take drill hammer, find oil, drill. Done.
It's
Easy.
actually like it's like there's a lot of stuff that goes into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so simple.
I mean, I can imagine. I've seen those videos of this is unrelated with the science behind it, but like the workers who have to work on like the oil, not
hmm
the rigs per
Yeah,
se,
my
which
dad
are
he used to work on an oil rig.
like in the ocean.
hmm
How long do you have to stay on there?
I'm not sure actually. He told me, but I don't remember.
Positive,
Apparently,
negative?
the food is pretty good on there.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah,
Seafood?
um, no, they like it's like a tough job working on an oil rig, so
Yeah.
they like compensate really well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Did you do this before you were born?
yeah, I think he did this back when he was in India or something. I guess it was a long time ago. Um,
Mm. Wait, that must have been really hot then. Like
uh,
oil rigs? I mean, I'm thinking the Indian Ocean. That's like very close to the equator.
yeah, yeah, maybe. I don't actually remember. Or what, no, I mean, maybe it wasn't in India. Who knows? I think there's so many stories that he's told me. I get them mixed up. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, that's cool. You get like a whole view into your dad's past, like just
Your
from these
parents never tell you
stories.
stories?
Uh, Not very much, but I do remember a few couple ones. Uh, but not nearly as much in detail, and I don't think the same value. Like how you described it, it seems like your dad told you a lot of stories, and with my parents, at least the ones I can remember, I can probably count on like one hand, two hands maybe. So
Yeah,
it's
I can
not a
probably
lot.
also count them on two hands, but it's like
Okay.
I still get them mixed up. He tells them to me very frequently, is the thing. So it's like,
Hmm.
oh, this one
Are they
again.
supposed
And
to be
so then,
life lessons?
no, it's mostly stories of him getting hurt, really. But
That's a kind of lesson. Just don't do what he did.
yeah, like one time he was walking to school, and this like rogue scooter came out of nowhere and ran him over.
What
Um,
the hell?
yeah, that was really bad, and he still has like a scar to this day. It's like
What's the lesson from that?
I don't think there was a lesson. That's what I told you. Like, just him getting hurt. Another time he was playing soccer or whatever, and he was like, I don't know, playing barefoot because he's Indian or something, right? Um, the ball came and like hit his toe in such a way that it like stuck straight up or
The
something.
toe?
Toe.
Oh, jeez.
Um, and then so he went into a lot of detail that I won't share, but he had to
About
go
the
to the
toe?
doctor to get it, yeah, to get it reset. Uh, yeah, I think there was another one. Um, he like hit his head or something, and he like saw stars or something. There was another one when he was like going to see a cricket match, and there was a lot of people there, right, trying to get inside. And when they opened the doors or whatever, there was like a huge flood of people going into the doors. Um, and so he just kind of got like pushed up, right? And he thought he was gonna like suffocate, you know, like, there was so many people, and he was like pushed up against the wall.
Oh,
Um,
wow. That's really scary.
yeah, yeah, and so he was able to make it to like the door, like where the gap, like where the hinges are, and he like stuck his nose through,
To
and that's how he was
breathe?
able to breathe. Yeah.
Wow.
Um, Yeah, it's like a whole lot of stories of that. Like it sort of makes you not want to go to India ever.
And
But
these are all like from him growing up in India.
yeah, yeah, this is all from him growing up.
Yeah, that
Um,
unfortunately that makes it seem like I mean, I feel
yeah,
like
some of them aren't all so bad. Yeah, he told me about the first time he ever had a Coke. Um,
Coat, C-O-A-T.
Coke,
Oh,
Coca-Cola.
Coke. Okay.
Um, he had like just landed in the US or whatever. He was hungry, so he got some food or whatever. And the Coke was like a few cents, and he bought one.
Wow.
um, And he thought it was like the most amazing experience he'd ever had.
Does he still like Coke now?
Drinking that Coke. Yeah, yeah. We
Oh.
were a Coke family. Uh,
Wait, was the first Coke that he had, was it in one of those like glass bottles and not canned?
I don't know.
Okay.
He didn't say. Um, yeah, and then I don't know. It told me a lot of stuff about the U.S. and
Back
how it
then,
was like
when he
so different.
arrived,
Yeah, yeah, it's so different from where he came from. Um, yeah,
what was like
he
the
has lots of
what
stories.
was the big difference that
I
what
don't
was it?
know. It's just like the way things are done. It's like it was different. Like growing up, he had like a black and white TV. Um, Presumably no air conditioning, if I had to take a guess.
That sounds
Um,
awful.
yeah, so, I mean, it's different.
Certainly.
So your parents, I mean, you have immigrant parents, right?
Right. But like I said, I don't think they told a lot of stories. I know one story, which this is the one story that really actually there's another story that stuck in my mind, but this one uh was I think after my parents got married, like right after they went out to celebrate or something. And it was like during the winter. So there's like this stretch of road that like winds through the forest to go to like a rose garden or something. It's like
Hmm.
yeah, it's like a rose garden in Oregon in the Portland Rose Garden. And it was since it was in winter, I think the road iced over. So
Well,
I'm pretty sure how the story went. I'm very fuzzy about the details, but I think the gist is right after their wedding, they went on the car slash road to try and go like to the rose garden to get photos, and I think they got into a car accident right after.
oh shit,
As in like it kind of slipped off the road. I don't think anybody was hurt or
yikes.
anything, but like it's kind of a bummer.
So all your stories are also about your parents getting hurt.
That's like the solo story, but yeah.
Oh, that reminds me of another story. My dad has a very similar story also. He was on some like road trip with some of his friends. I don't know when this was, when it happened, how it happened. Okay. This is just, I don't think he's ever actually told me the story. It's just something that he tells people at parties. Um, and I'm like, I just happen to be listening. Um, but he was like driving down the road or something, um, I think in the passenger seat, and so he kind of drifted off to sleep. Next thing he knows, the car is like it like crashed. It like went off the highway, right? And it crashed into a tree, like on the side, like in a ditch on the side of the highway. Um, and then some tree like on the side fell and like slammed into the car or whatever. And where it fell was like in the back seat, and I totally crushed the back seat. And there were three people in this car, and so the guy sitting in the back just so happened to be on the other side of the car. If he was on the other side, he would have been like crushed by the tree. So it was like insane luck that nobody was like seriously hurt. And so everyone was like, "What the heck just happened?"
Wait. I think I missed something. How did the car crash?
I don't know. My dad said that he was asleep, right? So
Wait,
it's
but
like,
did the other two people not know either?
well, I mean, I'm sure they knew, but my dad was telling it from his perspective. You know, it's a story. You only
Oh,
get bits and
okay.
pieces, Patrick. So
Okay.
sit along for the ride, all right?
I'm too inquisitive. I gotta know.
Yeah, this is like third-hand information already. Okay, that it might not have even happened. Um, and so they got out of the car, you know, and they started like walking up the highway, like up to the highway. You know how highways are sometimes like elevated. Um, so they were like walking up to the highway, and then the ambulance comes, right? They hear like sirens or whatever. Uh, and so the guys get out of that ambulance or whatever, and they were like, um, so like, where are the people in the car or whatever? And they were like, where are the people in the car? And the people on the ambulance were like in disbelief, like, have you survived that? um, and so that was like they got very lucky. My dad was
Yeah.
really lucky to be alive, honestly.
I mean, wait, are there other
For all the
near-death?
things I've heard.
Oh, like
I mean, I've
getting
already
run
told you
over?
like
Yeah.
three.
Wait, that's true. Those are pretty crazy. Luck's on his side.
Hmm. My mom's like stories are even crazier.
Right. I
Uh,
think you've told me some of I don't think her story specifically, but like her family's
uh-huh.
uh
And my mom was
from
very young, so it's like, uh,
so it was her story also like leaving Nicaragua.
mm, yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, she had a tough time. Really, she lost everything. Her
it's
family
pretty
lost everything.
crazy. Do you know how your parents met?
UT Austin.
Oh, so
Mm-hmm.
both of them went there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, unfortunate. I mean,
Why
no,
I
no,
said
no. I
unfortunate.
was saying unfortunate in that you did. It's not a diss to UT Austin. I said unfortunate in that you didn't go there. So
Oh
then it would
yes.
be like a continuation, right?
No, UT Austin should have accepted me, and then
Hey, your
my
brother can still go there and
yeah, continue the
continue it.
tradition.
Do you know the more details of how they met at
Some
UT Austin?
party, I think.
Uh, that's how it
I don't
goes.
know. Yeah, just like you know, we go to parties all the time. Uh, oh
Sociable
man,
folk, your parents?
yeah. Nah, bro, my dad, he rode a motorcycle.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up because you mentioned that to me. Like the first time I think you ever described your dad, you were like he had long hair, he rode a motorcycle. I remember those were like the two descriptions that you gave.
uh-huh. My dad was like a cool dude when he was
Was
younger.
a cool dude. He's not cool anymore.
He's not so cool
He's just
anymore.
the dad now.
He's my dad now. Yeah. He's not cool.
Hasn't
I'm
been
kidding.
cool for 20
He's
some
a cool
years.
guy. I
Yeah.
still think he's cool.
Hey, you should tell him that after the
He's a rock
podcast,
star.
you know. Hey dad,
Yeah.
I appreciate you. I think you're a cool dude.
Yeah. I hope I made that clear to him in my 20 years. If not, I failed as a son.
Oh my God. Okay.
If not, I failed as a son, I said.
Oh, okay.
Not,
I
yeah,
thought we
but I
just
know.
like took a nosedive there. I was like, all right, we'll just go on with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't know how my parents met, like the details, but I do remember another story. Well, it's not really a story. It's just a description of what they would do when they were like they were. Oh, I think in that story, my dad or mom did describe how they met, but I forgot that detail. I just know that my dad like drove a motorcycle before, and like motorcycles are so prevalent in Taiwan. I bet it's
Same
the
thing in
same in
India.
India. Yeah, that's what I was
Hmm
gonna say. They're just all like there's maybe probably the same amount as cars as motorcycles. I wouldn't say
Yeah,
more.
there's very little space, right?
Yeah, that's true. There's very little
Very densely
space.
populated.
So, yeah, my dad would like take my mom on the motorcycle and go places. Have you ever
Very
been on a
cute.
motorcycle?
Nope, not once in my life.
I have. It was
Mm.
when I visited Taiwan, the second time I visited, and I don't know when that was. When was the second time I visited? It was a couple years ago. Third time was pretty recent. It was last year, but second time it was a couple years ago, maybe middle school or high school. And my mom has how many siblings? She has a lot of siblings. I know she's the sixth oldest daughter.
The sixth oldest daughter.
Yes, and I think she has one brother as well. And yes, she is there's I think she had six sisters and so five older sisters and one younger one and then a brother. So
She
pretty
must have a lot of cousins then.
yes. I mean, most of them are all in Taiwan, so I like barely talk to them.
Hmm
And like I really don't know any of my cousins except for one because only because he's like 40 some, but he's in he used to live in Irvine, California, and this was like the family that I interacted with the most because we like went down there and visited them before. He's
hmm
in I don't think it's Plano. It's either Austin or Dallas. Like they moved to Texas, so they're in Texas
Okay.
now. But also he's like 40 some, right? So he's the son of the oldest sister. So that's why he's like so much older than me
I
and still a
see.
cousin. Like what's funny is my technically my it's not nephew. What is the son of a cousin?
That would be a second cousin once removed, I believe.
Okay, second cousin once removed. So if you like view it as a tree, right? That should be lower than me.
Hmm
And he's older than me. The son of my cousin. So
That's weird.
that shows like the difference, the age, right? Uh, but
Wait, so how old is your grandparents then? Or your grandparents?
yes, one of my mom's mom is
Hmm
96, 95,
Wow,
94. One of those ages.
that is
She's closing in on 100, which is I hope she gets there.
crazy.
Yeah.
Wait, your grandmother is older than Joe Biden. No, sorry.
I mean, that's
um,
true. Yeah. Like
um,
it's not that weird because what's more weird is my parents are actually pretty old. Like my mom had me pretty late, pretty darn late.
mhm,
So my parents are older than normally what parents would be. Like
mhm.
so um
Yeah, there's what was I gonna say? Oh, your grandmother, yeah, your grandmother is around the same age as my great grandmother that is still alive. Um, yeah, your grandmother, um, potentially, if she's like 96 or 95, when she was born, the Ottoman Empire still existed.
Yo,
That is
when did
the
it
span of time.
dissolve?
I think it was 1923.
Yeah, could be. It's pretty crazy.
Hmm
That is pretty crazy. She's lived a life. I mean, she's lived a life fathering 8 children. Fathering?
Mothering.
Mothering.
Uh-huh.
It's a lot of action. Uh, it's a lot of labor. That's
Yeah. She's older than sliced bread.
really? How old is
Mm-hmm.
sliced bread?
1928.
So people just didn't slice bread before that?
Yeah, I mean, you never heard the saying, best thing since sliced bread?
Yeah, I've heard that saying. I just didn't know I just thought sliced bread was quite a long time ago instead of
Yeah.
1928.
Yeah, it is quite a long time ago. It's like,
Well, it's not even 100 years. So,
yeah, a lot can change in 100 years. You know, back
yeah.
then, it was a very different time.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, I thought because there's a whole lot of humanity before 1928 and they didn't slice their bread.
Well, no, they had to slice it manually. That's the thing, right?
Oh, okay. Okay. That's an
Yeah, yeah.
inaccurate saying then. I thought it was just like bread that was sliced at all. This is like
No,
a
no, well, you thought they just had it like
like a
a.
chunk. I mean, that's what I assumed because that's what sliced bread means, right?
No, no, like they slice it for you. Is what the.
Oh, like at
It,
restaurants?
it's like, huh?
Well, what do you mean slice
No,
it for you?
wait, like when you buy at the grocery store, it comes pre-sliced.
Oh.
So you can go as a canned meat, you know. You don't can the meat yourself, right?
Why is that like a particular date? Just when they started selling sliced bread?
Well,
19.
that's like when the bread slicer was invented or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Like there's a machine for slicing bread.
Yeah, you just ate your bread as a block. Oh. That's
Or
what
like
I
a bread,
was legit thinking.
yeah,
Not the brightest.
bread block. No, that's not true. One of the smartest people I know, Patrick. Pat.
That's flattery and incorrect.
No, I
Um,
don't think so. That is a technically true statement.
I doubt it.
Everyone is one of the smartest people that I know.
Mm, okay. Wait. What
And
was
you were one of the people that.
I'll take the compliment.
Anytime.
What I was saying was I forgot what I was thinking. I was mentioning she had a lot of sisters, siblings, and I don't know why. Why was I mentioning that she had a lot of siblings?
Uh, you were
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah, I don't know why.
going back to Taiwan
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
in
why.
middle
Oh my
school.
God. How did you remember? Right. So the fourth oldest. So yes, she's the sixth oldest, the fourth oldest. She had a motorcycle and I got to ride on it. And it was pretty cool. Like we went on like a highway.
Mm,
Well, it wasn't a
was
highway, but
rare.
it was like a main road and we were going pretty fast. It's certainly a different feeling than riding a motorcycle on the back than in a car. Like I had to clutch, like my arms were wrapped around my aunt. So it's
Yeah,
pretty.
were you wearing a helmet?
Yeah, I was wearing a helmet too.
It's good. Good. There's no seatbelts, right?
No seatbelt. Actually, I can't say. Maybe there was, but I don't remember anymore. I just
Uh-huh.
remember like my arms were wrapped around her. Just I was like holding on for dear life.
Dear life.
Yeah, that's the saying. When was that saying invented? Holding on for dear life.
No idea. That's an etymology question.
Mm.
Sliced bread is something that, you know, I guess that's also an etymology thing. But
But yeah, I recommend. I kind of want to ride a motorcycle again. I just think it's a very different feeling and it's kind of cool.
wait, so your grandmother, she was not born in Taiwan then, was she?
I don't think so, no.
That's pretty crazy.
Like they
She's lived
were
through history.
mainland China and moved over, I think.
So your grandmother must have as interesting a story as my mom's side of the family.
Hmm, probably.
Pushed out by communists. It's the same story.
Yeah.
There's a link right there. Also, it's both of our mother's sides. We're basically brothers.
I think but well, both my grandmas slash grandpas, I think. Like all of my grandparents on both sides, I think, did that. The transition
Mm-hmm.
from the mainland to the island of Taiwan.
I see. No, but that's okay. So your grandparents on your father's side are also old enough for that. I
Yes,
guess so.
I
Oh
think.
yeah, yeah. So after World War II, Mao. Uh, so I'm kind of hazy on the dates.
So like
I guess
I
that makes sense. Yeah.
at least like 1948, I think that's when the well, I think the Civil War started up right away afterwards,
Right.
but
Right.
I don't know when they moved over. Um, I do know who's the leader of Taiwan for a while. It was uh, Chiang Kai-shek. It's because there's a like a temple or memorial to him, memorial hall to him in Taipei. And
Uh-huh.
the main reason I can remember is when we were taking the metro. That was like a particular station always. Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall. Uh, yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah, he was a very influential leader in that time, both in China and then in Taiwan. The Kuomintang.
right. His
Um,
legacy lives on in that party, I guess.
yeah. Oh, it still exists, really?
Yeah,
I guess that makes sense.
it's still one of the main. It's that one and the is it DPP? Uh, it's not the one in power right now. The other one is the one in power, but the Kuomintang is like it's like the conservative one,
Right,
and
right. Like, I
it's
mean, they were the nationalists, right?
yeah,
Opposing the other.
right.
That's interesting that they don't have power anymore.
Well,
Um,
it like switches back and forth. The other party is called
hmm
the Democratic Progressive Party, the DPP.
hmm
Um,
Because like in Singapore or whatever, it's like a very similar origin story, right? It's a Asian country that was sort of expelled um, from the motherland. The Singaporean
wait,
uh,
really? I don't know the story
political
about
party.
Singapore.
Oh yeah, so I mean, long story short, Malaysia was like, get out. You're on your own now, and they were expelled. They're the only country to have ever been like given up, forsaken.
Like
uh,
willingly, they just like give it up.
yeah, yeah. They were like, you cannot stay. You are gone now. You are no longer a part of our country. See you later. Um, yeah. So LKY, the leader, he was like the governor or whatever, had to become the leader, and he did a pretty darn good job of lifting up this little fishing village on the southern tip of the Malay Peninsula to what it is today.
Yeah.
I dare say. Um, but their political party, I forget what it's called, but I think the People's Action Party, I think that's what it's called. They have not lost a single election since then. They won large majorities, and they're also a center-right party.
Kind of makes sense considering how successful they were. And I think like only the DPP they became they like the president of Taiwan is from that party. It was only recently from like the last 2016 election, I think.
Mm,
Don't quote me on this. It could be earlier that they did come into power also. Uh, might be speaking out of my ass, but
yeah. Well, I mean, you could argue that the Kuomintang was very successful also. They
yeah, that they're still around.
no, I mean, like they call it the Four Asian Tigers, right?
Right. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. It was kind of outside this podcast, but you linked me
Mm-hmm.
that video. I never watched the whole thing. But yeah, I didn't know Taiwan, Singapore, Korea, and what was the other one?
Hong Kong,
Hong
Hong Kong.
Kong. Yeah, the four Asian tigers.
Mm-hmm. Although Hong Kong nowadays is,
Not there, not as much.
I mean, they still are very large and powerful. I mean, not so much powerful, but they have a very highly developed economy. That hasn't changed. But
Yeah, but the rest of China is like catching up, especially
yeah,
hubs in
their
like
liberal
Shanghai.
democracy is
Yeah.
big. No, I would say that Hong Kong is richer than any city in China, any individual city in China. But
Yeah, doesn't
for
Hong
their
Kong
democracy,
have like the most expensive property? Uh,
hmm
I don't know
I
where I
don't
got
doubt
that
that.
fact from, but I feel like that's true there.
The price level is very high over there.
Yes. Have
Um,
you seen those videos of living quarters in Hong Kong? Like you have
no,
like
I haven't.
cages and
Jesus.
that's like your living quarters and they're just like all stacked on top of each other. It's pretty crazy. Like imagine having are you sitting on your bed right now or a
Yes,
desk?
sir.
Imagine
No, I'm not bad.
that is your whole living quarters right there. Just the size of your bed.
That's great. How do they cook?
They don't. Either they have a communal kitchen, they like don't have a kitchen by themselves.
Like hammer slang.
Yeah. So it's either
That's
communal
crazy.
or you go out to eat. Yeah.
No, that's too little space.
Yeah. I feel for those people with their current situation. And also those living quarters are insane.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do? There's no space and there's so many people.
Yeah. I don't know. Move out?
You have to leave.
Leave?
I mean, Mr. Uh, what's his name? Boris Johnson, the UK government is offering them citizenship, right?
Yeah, that's true. I think actually I don't have an opinion about that. I think actually maybe I do. I think it's a good thing, I guess.
I think it's a good thing.
They're the kind
Yeah, I
of
mean,
it's generally those are the type of immigrants that like they're I'm generalizing. It's probably not all Hong Kong people, but more likely than not you're educated and
hmm
working like a white collar job there. So those are like the kinds of immigrants that you typically want as a nation, I think.
yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, mass migration is going to have some tension associated with it, regardless of who is coming. Um, I have no opinion about it. I haven't thought about it very much, but I also doubt. I mean, I don't know actually how many people are going to leave Hong Kong because of this.
I wonder, are you even restricted from leaving Hong Kong by the government? Like, are they
I don't
even
know.
able to just leave if they
Leave?
want to?
Can you leave China if you want to? I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, people do all the time, right?
that's true. But like, it's probably conditional. Like, actually, maybe not. I
I'm not
really
sure.
don't know anything about it, so I can't say.
I mean, China has been trying to like restrict its population growth for the past who knows how long. So I don't think they'd mind people leaving.
Yeah, especially if they're still bringing like the CCP message, Chinese culture in general. One of
hmm
them is political. The other one is just good in general, just bringing culture to other places.
Well, I don't know if you're leaving China, you're going to have a very positive opinion of China, but yeah, the culture,
I mean, yeah, my parents are from Taiwan, so it's not the same, but I
right?
know people whose parents are from China. Maybe they did hate it there, or not hate it, but just didn't really like it there and prefer America, but I don't know. What's the reason that you immigrate?
Push factors and pull factors is what they call it.
Yeah. Did your dad ever talk about the when he first came? Like, oh yeah, we were just talking about what it was very different, but did he talk about anything really difficult to adjusting here?
difficult to adjust. I don't know. I really don't know. Hmm. Yeah, I don't remember him saying anything like that.
I'm thinking what a new immigrant to the United States, what would be the hardest? Well, it depends
I
on where you
mean,
came from.
there's bound to be some culture shock,
Mm-hmm.
right? But he never really described that to me. Yeah. Have we talked in the podcast if you would live anywhere in the
Yeah,
world, where
I
would you
think
live?
so. We talked about like I think New Zealand, Australia. We said like because they're English speaking, and I think I said Norway at some point.
Mm-hmm. You said Taiwan, I
Oh
know.
yeah, Taiwan maybe
Uh-huh.
too. Oh, that reminded me of a thing that I want to talk about, which was related with the Hong Kong thing. But even in like Taiwan, living space, like everything was just shrunk, as in less space. It's just so much space, so much more space here in
Here.
the United
Yeah.
States compared to like very densely packed metropolitan areas. And I
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's slightly skewed because I was mainly in Taipei, which is metropolitan as heck. So I think in the countryside when we did go there was more space. But yeah, I think even in the city, it's less space than probably United States cities. I feel like very dense, a lot of
Yeah.
people, especially with like the motorcycles, because I don't. America is very car dominated, especially in like the cities.
Mm-hmm. And the suburbs too. You can't get anywhere without a
Yeah,
car.
right.
And that's by design too. They built it that way. Um,
So we're car reliant. Is that the purpose?
so that we'll buy more cars and um, like use them. I mean, like car ownership rates were growing, and so uh, they were sort of built. Cities were built to accommodate for that. Right. That's how suburbia. The idea of it came about. William Levitt. That's the name of the guy. Um, he did some things. um, he was also very racist and like redlining. That's the word. Um, yeah, yeah. He like built neighborhoods with this idea of like a sort of white utopia in mind, with the white picket
Hmm.
fences and the mother, father, and two children thing in mind.
Why is two
Um,
children the optimal amount?
I don't know, man. I mean, I guess it varies by culture. Nazi Germany. Uh, I remember this one fact. They would it was like have as many kids as you want, please. If you're a German Aryan couple or whatever, like you get benefits for having like 6 kids or whatever. Um, they would like fund. I'm saying the word like a lot. Um, but yeah, they would like fund children. And some countries have tried that also uh, in more recent times. Like Hungary is doing the same thing. I said this in the last podcast also. Uh, and Hungary is also leaning very far right nowadays,
Yeah.
democratic backsliding. So take that for what it's worth.
Does that have to do with
Having
trying to
children.
promote?
So yeah. So the way these guys did it, the Nazi Germany and the Hungarians currently, um, well, they have a very particular image in their mind of who should be having kids. It is Hungarians specifically, right? Ethnic Hungarians that should be having kids, and no one else. They're very xenophobic, also, the current ruling party. So like there should be no immigrants, and to solve our population woes, as Eastern Europe is wont to have at the moment, We should have Hungarian babies and lots of them. So take your tax subsidies and have babies as the current plan. Very similar story with Germany, right? So that's sort of population management.
I think we talked about before whether or not you would want another sibling. Did we talk about that?
Maybe.
Would you want another brother, sister?
No, I don't think so. Um, I think one is just fine. One is enough. Do
Yeah.
you have siblings?
Yeah, I have one sister.
Yeah. Would you
She's
have
in
more?
would I want more? Like
Mm.
I my initial saying was yes. Just because I'm on good terms with my sister right now and I like uh talking with her sometimes. And I was thinking just having another person, right? I know for sure I would not want to be a solo child. That I think having a sibling is great when growing up, even when you fight and stuff. At least there's like another person, right? So it's not like you're the sole attention of your
Uh-huh.
parents. That is something that I acutely felt when my sister was still at home, and that was like certainly a change when she left for college, because then I was the only child at home, and it's just like,
Hmm.
this is very different now. Well, not very different, but it's different now because they're only mainly focusing on me now without my
Hmm.
sister around. So,
It's quieter too.
yes.
Um, so you don't like that they're only focusing on you.
Yeah.
Why
Which
is that?
is, uh,
You don't like the attention.
yeah, in a way, more chances for me to fuck up, and then they like focus on that, and
Uh-huh.
instead
You
of,
have strict parents?
uh, I don't know how to assess it. Like when I was growing up, yeah, I definitely say yes. Even now, but like the older you get, right, you have more
Hmm.
perspective, and you can probably think about what exactly your parents, how they parent in a more unbiased way. Of course, it's never going to be unbiased, but you can probably like do more factoring into like, oh, they probably thinking like this. And
Hmm.
you can probably you will have more data points from talking with other people and kind of listening or learning about how their parents operate. So as I've grown older, I think my parents are certainly less are not actually that strict. So like when I was younger, I'd certainly say they're strict. And now I don't know how to answer. I don't know if they are or if they're not.
Are you saying that your opinion of their parenting has changed, or that their parenting itself has changed?
I feel like it's both. I definitely their parenting has kind of changed. I think their parenting has definitely changed as soon as I went to college. Well,
Hmm.
just because I'm just like not there anymore. So it's definitely changed. And
Yeah.
it's changed in a good way. I like it. But I think it's both, where it both evolved, but I think it's more of my own opinion change than their actual parenting when I was still at
Hmm.
home like the whole time, I think.
So you can now think of parenting as an art rather than the source of your troubles.
Yeah, and it's certainly an art and like a skill, right?
It's kind of like pedagogy. When you're younger, you only think of these teachers as these like objects that exist to teach you, and some of them are good and some of them are bad.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. I
but now, uh-huh.
that's kind of why I brought up my middle school teacher, right, Dr. A, because he certainly had an impact. I mean, I can still remember all my teachers' names and stuff, but he's when you like think of unique teachers, he's certainly at the top of my list. And
Mhm.
even though back then his class, like I hated his homeworks and his teaching style was very interesting and different from like all the other middle school teachers, but now it's like stuck, right? Because he was so unique. He's just someone like if I recall my from my childhood, who are the most impactful or interesting teachers, he's certainly up there higher on the list
Mhm.
because the way he taught was just different.
Impactful teacher. I don't
Right.
think they can get anyone more impactful than Mr. Ada, Dr. Ada, Professor. What a wonderful teacher. If any of you listeners
This is just the Ada fan
are,
club.
go to Carnegie Mellon, um, well, I mean, as of now, our only listener goes to Carnegie Mellon, and he has already taken his class. But if you haven't taken his class, and you ever find yourself in the old tartan plaid, take Mr. Professor Dr. Anila Dawes'
Yo,
class.
you think that would be uh really cool if we had him as a guest? Well, actually, I don't know how cool that would be. That would be
What would we ask him? I feel like we're ill-equipped to interview people.
Yeah, I
I think we need
was
more
the
practice.
initial idea was really cool. Having
Uh-huh.
someone we kind of look up to slash admire their teaching ability. But then I'm
Hmm.
thinking how what would he actually talk with him?
We would have to like prepare for it. I'm like,
Like
I
legitimately.
mean, not that we haven't prepared for this, of course.
Right. I think the main issue is just also he's just a different age range, so things that you normally talk about, like just the whole manner of how you're gonna speak to him is gonna be different as well. To be more respectful, because he's just older. And
Uh-huh.
what I was saying with the age range also, just the kind of topics that you talk about. I don't know. It's like different talking about certain like things you've seen. You talk about it differently compared to adults or people or like friends of your own age. So it would be certainly weirder slash different talking with him if we tried to do like general topics.
Right. Yeah, it's a code switching, right? Um, but it's I think it's a healthy exercise to get some more perspective.
Right. Yeah. So uh as we wrap up this episode, um I want to say with some thoughts about what we hope to get out of talking with guests on this show, because
Hmm.
I'm guessing the first few guests we're just gonna have to find whoever is willing, right?
Sure.
And it's probably just gonna be like friends, so it's gonna be
And then
pretty.
and then eventually, when our podcast gets so popular that we're just flooded with interview guest requests,
Yeah,
then we're gonna have to have some vetting process. Yeah, I
yeah, but
understand. Continue. Yeah. Hmm.
but even before that, I like the first few guests probably friends, and with what kind of friends we have, they're probably gonna be similar in like what they
Hmm. To us.
study and what they do, what how they think. But certainly, even if we don't become popular, which is probably gonna happen, not becoming popular,
Which is
not
right.
becoming
It's
popular.
probably not gonna happen that we
Yeah.
don't become popular. I understand. So we're gonna become very popular. Yes. Uh-huh.
I what I was saying is just with future guests, I want to branch out and try
Mm,
talking with people that like different age ranges, studying different things,
mm-hmm,
just into
mm-hmm.
different things because I think that would have some really interesting conversations. And yeah, that's something I kind of look forward to, though I don't know how that's going to work yet. We still need to
Mm-hmm.
just see how having a guest will work.
Sure. So if you have any ideas, maybe some suggestions, viewers, be sure to leave a comment.
Mm,
And we'll be sure to read that. We read believe it or not, every single one of the comments
Yes.
that you leave.
We listen to all feedback. If there's
I'll
any
be back.
gripes that you have with the show, feel free to tell us and we'll listen to you. Maybe we'll
You
act on
know,
it if it's good feedback.
if you'd like to be a guest, leave a comment saying that you'd like to be a guest.
Yes.
You may even get to participate in one of the podcasts.
It's a high likelihood. Yeah.
Almost 100% chance that if you leave a comment saying that you would like to be a guest, you will be able to be a guest.
This is gonna be a test to see who's made it this far into the podcast to even hear this. And
I
then
can think
just
of one person. And only one person.
right. So yeah, that's our call to our viewers. But I think that wraps up this episode quite nicely. Again,
Mm-hmm.
the topic list that we had for this, I don't think we got to like anything except for like two things. That's okay. They're just
That's
there
how it
to
happens.
help us if we lost topics, and I think we have some really interesting topics this time. Uh, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think that wraps up this episode. Thanks everybody for listening to our 3B podcast. Stumbling over my words. This was episode 4, and soon we'll have our 5th episode, and hopefully it'll be a special one. So
All right.
stay tuned for that.
Make sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the little button with the bell for the notifications.
Well, currently on YouTube, they're all unlisted, so I don't think it'll show up in the sub box.
They're
But
unlisted? What do you mean they're unlisted?
I upload them on a channel that I don't want them public on. Maybe I'll upload it on a separate channel just for this podcast. But do drop us a follow on Spotify. We are on Spotify, and it's much
Wait, you
appreciated.
don't want them public because you have friends that are subscribed to you? Is that why?
No, it's cause okay, this is kind of unrelated, but the
Oh, wait,
channel
okay, we can. Wait, is it? You want it on the podcast or not?
we can keep it on.
Okay.
I don't know if we're keeping this whole thing, but what I was gonna say is that channel is like a personal YouTube channel where I did like video game stuff and other stuff.
Mm,
So I kind of have a specific audience that is already subscribed to that, and I don't want to spam them with these podcast episodes. So I can make it
mm.
public. I don't know.
You could ask your viewers.
I don't know
See
how
what they have to
many would
say.
actually even
Listen,
mind. Yeah, maybe that will grow a new audience base. Who
it
knows?
would.
It actually
Yeah.
would, because I do have people subscribed there. I just don't know. Maybe they'll unsubscribe once they see that I stopped doing this, but who knows? Could be a new avenue. So
Yeah.
that's a good point. I'll probably make them public. So, but yeah, this was 4th episode. Hope to see you soon for our 5th episode coming up. And yeah,
Thanks
until
for
next
watching.
time. Thanks for listening. Watching.
So, listening, yes, with your ears. All right. See you next time.
See you next time. Have a
Bye
good night.
bye.